So, that means another week, another Kamen Rider Zeztz episode. Yep, Zeztz episode 4 entitled Rob aired this past week. And hey, what's really cool is that for the first time since the show started airing, each episode's now actually available on demand. You don't have to suffer through the live stream anymore. Kamen Rider Zeztz has been doing this thing where, as every episode airs, it airs in a 24-hour live stream that just continuously loops and loops and loops. So when it first started with Zeztz episode 1, and I can attest to this because I was watching it the day after it came out. They did not add in a break screen, so you couldn't tell when the episode was looping over again. You just kind of had to rough through it. And then starting later that week, and in episode 2 they started doing it, and now with episode 4, every episode is available to watch on YouTube for free, on demand. No live stream kerfuffles, which is nice. So wonderful. Makes it so much easier to get these screenshots. That being said, though, this week's mission, as hinted at last week, is protecting the VIP bride. And so our episode begins in a church, because that's where weddings happen, with Baku acting as sort of what's the word? Wedding priest. Officiator. That's the word, officiator. He's acting as the officiator in this dream world to protect the bride. But it's not all good, as the big villain dude is creating a nightmare in this wedding, which is this really fun little flying creature. I wonder how Zeztz is going to defeat that. Of course, it will involve a new capsule, which we'll get to later. And this week is the first one with an intro. I like the song. The visuals are pretty substandard. We get this really cool moment where Baku's walking through this hallway and a bunch of the different missions pass by. So we get to see Destroy the Bomber, which was the last week. We get to see this week's, which is Protecting the VIP Bride. We get a couple of future ones, one in the back says Target of some kind. One says Meteor Strike, and then this big one says Escape with all the prisoners. At least that's what I think it's supposed to say. Who knows? But, yeah. We get this really cute little thing where we get to see the core main characters of the show, including the main villain. Which I like, as it makes it very easy to kind of point out, oh, hey, these are the main characters. These are who's important to the show. We get to see Nim, Baku's sister, and the two cop characters. We get this really cool moment that's very reminiscent of the... of the trailers, where, for whatever reason, instead of showing us footage from the show, they just showed us the Zeztz suit, just doing shadow boxing. And instead of switching the suit to different colors, they just changed the light, so the green looked more blue, or purple at times. What I find funny is at the end of the song, the word GOAT, the acronym for greatest of all time, I just think that that's funny. That's all. Anyways, so once again, Nim continues to have some form of lucid dreaming, as we see here. She's saying hello to Baku, who she knows as Agent 7. And I find it cute that she says good night instead of good morning, because, they're sleeping. That's cute. And in this dream scenario, whereas Baku is supposed to be the wedding officiator, as well as hired security, here she is the wedding planner. It actually quite fits, and I like that a lot. We get to see that the reason this is considered a VIP bride is because her father is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which means that there are a ton of potential subjects that could want this wedding to go south. We also get to see Baku using the impact capsule outside of the suit, which is nice. I like that. It's the second time they've done this, which means so far I think they've done it more than Kamen Rider Build did it, which is nice. Also here, as you can just see, a bit of aura farming, like Kabuto, because for whatever reason, I guess Zeztz is trying to comfort Tendo's title of the number one aura farmer in Kamen Rider. But back in the real world, though, Baku is having struggles, as he finds out that the reason the bride is having the reason that the bride, the groom, and everyone else is involved in this nightmare is because he directly failed to stop the bomber last episode, which caused the nightmare dream, which caused like the nightmare contagion to leak out into the real world and affect the dreamer, causing this bad dream. And now he's trying to kind of he's like doubting himself, as when it's real, it's scary. When it's a dream, it's easy. He can be invincible. But that being said, we just kind of skirt past that. As we get toy advertisements. Woohoo, go buy the toys. Yeah, very similar to Kamen Rider Double, which was a detective show. Here, Zeztz as a spy show has lots of really cool little gadgets that can help him on his missions. I also get introduced to the wing capsule, a capsule that's supposed to be used with the impact form. That gives him the ability to fly. You also get introduced to the stream capsule, which is supposed to be used with the blue form, which I'm currently blanking on its name. That gives the power to manipulate air, which is odd. And one thing I find really cool is that, like, on the show, there's an actual graphic of it changing from English to Japanese so Baku can read it, which is nice. We also get to see a tiny bit of the capsule container thingy, which appears to hold like 5 or 6 of them, which is quite a bit. When we first saw the capsules, they looked kind of big. So I was thinking, oh, this holder can only hold like 3 of them. But no, the capsules are like really small. Even in the show, they are like tiny. With that being said, also in the real world, the 2 cop characters are now going to be working in an unofficial capacity. I mean, they can't go around flashing their badges. But to a degree, they are still like investigating things as part of the police department. Which is nice. What's also nice, Baku and his sister, we get to see some more time with them. Baku starts suspecting that maybe this childhood best friend is the dreamer. I mean, it's the most obvious thing. He's gonna be upset that his childhood friend's getting married to someone else and not him. And as much is laid out here. But let's hope Baku's right as the wedding goes on. I find it really cute that he's letting Nim actually kind of have some agency here. You know, when the show first started and we first were introduced to Nim, I was thinking, oh no, damsel in distress, that's all she's going to be this show. But no, she actually gets to help, which is awesome. And it leads me to believe maybe down the line she's going to become either some form of like side hero, pseudo rider, or hell, even a full-fledged Kamen Rider, which would be awesome. But of course, this is a Kamen Rider show, so the wedding gets crashed. And Nim, wasting no time at all, tells everybody, hey, we need to go. We need to get out of here. Allowing Baku to transform into Kamen Rider Zeztz and save the day. One thing I find funny is that in like most Toku, even in Power Rangers, they do quick costume changes just by like them grabbing their shoulder and like ripping their clothes off, which never made sense. But here, because it's like a dream, it's like, oh yeah, that's just dream logic. I just think that that's like, finally, a show where it actually does make sense for them to do that really weird way of costume change. Also, really great. Once again, the suit, it's really growing on me, especially with this fight in the church. It just looked really good. The choreography continues to be really, really good. I still think over on Super Sentai with Gojuger, they've like perfected it. But here, it's still really good, even if I think Gojuger still has better choreography overall. And in the real world, we see that the nightmare is starting to leak out, which means Baku has to hurry up and stop this thing, or it's a repeat of episode 3 all over again. And we get to see the debut of the wing capsule, which is cool. Much like other similar wing forms like Kamen Rider Knights from Ryuki. I know I'm pulling out an old one here, but when it's not CGI, it becomes like a little flexible cape form, which is cool. What's also cool is that the very edges of the wings, like the very top 2 like spikes, can actually pop off and become little daggers. That's neat. I like that. But Shortly after Baku saves the bride from falling, he realizes, oh no, the bride is the only one that fell. And then the nightmare reveals only the dreamer falls, which means the bride is the dreamer all along. Now, I could clearly tell it was not the childhood best friend. Like, that was easy setup, easy to tell that's not going to be it. That'd be very unsatisfying. But I wasn't expecting the bride. I honestly thought it was going to be the dad or maybe even the groom. The bride was an unexpected one. No. And we get to see her struggling and being scared of her nightmare, which was really cool. It was a twist that was kind of obvious you're going to tell was a twist. But as to who it was actually twisting to, I didn't see it coming. And that's how the episode ends. Where next week we get to see that the blue Zeztz form is going to debut. We continue to deal with why this bride is dreaming of something bad, and I suspect this is actually happening in the real world and not the dream world, which would be really great. And he makes a vow that he is the one and only code number 7, as episode 5 is entitled Crash, because he's gonna crash a wedding. And yeah, overall, so far, between the 4 episodes, I know it's kind of early to be judging them like, oh, least favorite, most favorite, but genuinely, I was very, I wouldn't say I hated the episode, but I wasn't like blown away by it. Like the other 3 episodes, like went other ways, made me go, okay, this is peak. This episode just felt a little short of that, which is fine. It's episode 4, by now the show is definitely getting into its comfortable rhythm. The first 3 episodes were this prologue, we're finding stuff out, and now episode 4, we're getting into this rhythm of seeing it. I also really like the fact that much like lots of earlier Kamen Rider shows, this is actually going to be a 2-parter show, where episode 1 introduces the problem, and episode 2 solves the problem. It gives us longer to develop the characters, more complex storylines, and also just in general means the show can kind of have a tighter focus in certain areas and lead to there being a lot less left on the chopping room table. But with that being said, though, yeah, it's still kind of disappointing. But hey, who knows? Episode 5 might turn this around. It might be the better of the 2 parts, or it could be worse than the 2 parts. I have a feeling because it's gonna be debuting the blue form change. It's gonna be probably my more preferred part out of the 2. But with that being said, let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed episode 4, if you didn't, and go support the official release because we need more stuff like this. I will probably be making a video soon, not obviously only on episode 5 when it comes out next week, but also the fact Kamen Rider Zeztz was at New York Comic Con this week, which was something I was not expecting. I'm definitely making a video on that. But that being said, that's everything. So I will see you all next week when we cover Kamen Rider Zeztz episode 5, Crash.